Self-Help as an organization has a mission to provide independence and dignity to older adults.
Loyalty, consistency, caring, making a difference. Those are the kinds of things that I think of when I think of Mindy and Michael and the Schneider family.
Anna has a special touch about her. Given her background, I think that her relationship with survivors is instant, and that's why she's a part of Self-Help.
Self-Help is the gold standard in the provision of services for Holocaust survivors, and that's under the direction of Stuart.
Ilza has been very generous and very much involved with Self-Help for many years.
She is a beautiful personality.
Self-Help proudly serves 20,000 individuals, and we do it one person at a time.
Good evening, I'm Lori Stokes, and I proudly serve as a trustee of the Self-Help Community Services Foundation Board. It is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's event. A salute to Self-Help heroes. Over the past 10 months, we've heard a lot about heroes. We all remember the early days of COVID when we joined together at 7 p.m. to applaud the nurses and the doctors of our hospitals and all those working around the clock to keep us healthy and safe. And we continue to be so very grateful for the dedicated workers who operate our buses and our trains, who work in our pharmacies and our grocery stores, and who ensure that life remains, well, as normal as possible. What we have found during these past many months is that there are frontline heroes whom we can see and hear, and behind the scenes heroes as well, who just quietly, in their own way and without any fanfare, work to keep us healthy and safe and connected. And tonight, you're gonna meet both. Like every other organization, Self-Help canceled its gala, which had been scheduled for May of 2020. But that didn't stop our honorees like the Schneider-Lesser family, Anna Schnur, and CEO Stuart Kaplan from stepping forward to secure the resources needed to care for our clients and our staff. And it didn't stop our dear friend, Ilsa Melamed, from making an historic gift to provide much needed affordable housing for older adults. Please join me. Over the next hour, we're gonna recognize some extraordinary members of the Self-Help community during a time filled with uncertainty and fear. These folks were there to provide hope and support.
Self-Help is a large health and human services organization serving over 20,000 people throughout the New York metropolitan area. It was founded in 1936 to care for people who were fleeing Nazi persecution.
And it was started by primarily German and Austrian refugees who were fleeing the Nazis and coming to America and having to start over a whole new life. Many of them having had to abandon all of their assets and their finances in order to escape. And so Self-Help was founded in order to assist them to both adjust to America, but also to provide them with clothing and services and employment opportunities.
Following the war, Self-Help became the largest organization serving Holocaust survivors, helping them to resettle, promote independence, and regain their dignity.
The population of Holocaust survivors, there is a compelling thing to work with them. These people have had their families taken away from them. They've had their inheritance taken away from them, all their property taken away from them. They had to start from the beginning. And there's a certain resiliency and bravery that comes with that. And helping them now in their older age and helping them through these last few years is a very compelling work. We have a large social work staff that have dedicated their lives to helping Holocaust survivors. The staff has become experienced in their histories, they've become experienced in their trauma, and they are very patient and understanding and kind, but also knowledgeable about all the entitlements and benefits and reparations and services that survivors could have to keep them in the community. I'd like the community to know that there are over 100,000 survivors still in the United States, about 35,000 in New York, and that as they grow older, they're coming to us for help more and more. We've been working with other seniors since the 60s, but we've maintained our mission to be the last remaining relative to Holocaust survivors since 1936 to present day.
My name is Ruth Tierna, and I'm 101 years old. That's why I have trouble walking.
It's great because John does songs and gets silly, and we do a lot of laughing, and we don't have any particular agenda, right? we just get on and start talking, right, Mommy?
Yeah, it was very nice. He's very nice, and he likes music too, and he can sing some songs.
It's really special for me to hear her play music and to listen to her sing. And Ruthie will sing something in German, and then she will translate it for me half a second later and sing it in English. And she'll tell me the meanings of the songs that she plays on the harmonica.
He's very serious.
It has been a gift from the first time that we started speaking, and it's continued to be so. I really just feel so lucky to be able to speak with Ruthie.
I think people might worry, oh, maybe I'd be afraid of being a visitor because what am I going to talk about, right? But it's very easy because you just get on and you just hang out.
I wish I could come visit.
And we can eventually. That's what we normally did for the visiting program. But this time we are all on Zoom, and it works.
Spricht sich schon, Hans, mein Sohn, kommen bald zurück.
Good evening. I'm Stu Eisenstadt, and for the past several years, it's been my privilege to present the Fran Eisenstadt Legacy Award to extremely deserving recipients at Selfhelp's annual gala. This year is no different, although we're having to do it by Zoom because of the pandemic. I'm delighted that the Schneider Lesser family is being recognized with this esteemed honor. This award is particularly meaningful to me and to my family. It bears the name of my late wonderful wife of 45 years, Fran, who was a champion for those in need. Fran cared deeply about the needs of Holocaust survivors and has been the inspiration for so much of the important work being done on behalf of the survivor community. Sadly, we know that over half the some 40,000 survivors in the New York metropolitan area are living at or below the poverty line. This is completely unacceptable, and that's why I've made it my life's work to obtain compensation for Holocaust survivors who suffered the worst atrocities known to mankind. The Schneider Lesser family shares my and Fran's passion. They've given so generously to Selfhelp, to its Holocaust survivor program, to ensure that no survivor ever has to choose between purchasing food and medication. This wonderful family also cares deeply about transmitting the lessons of the Holocaust to future generations, and they were among the first to step forward to support the production of Selfhelp's wonderful Witness Theater documentary. I want to extend my personal thanks to Mindy, Michael, Katie, and Jake for the sacred work you've done and continue to do for Holocaust survivors. I'm certain Fran would be proud of you, as I am. I only wish I could be there personally to extend this award and hope to have the opportunity of meeting you personally in the near future.
I'm Stacy Barber, and I serve as a vice president of Selfhelp's board of directors. It was a proud moment in 2016 when the Schneider-Lesser family was first introduced to Selfhelp. They visited a Selfhelp coffee house where they had the opportunity to meet with Holocaust survivors and learn how Selfhelp assists this very special population. Since that time, they have become wonderful friends and supporters, giving generously of their time, talent, and resources to ensure that our survivors can live with the comfort and dignity that they deserve. Mindy, Michael, Katie, and Jake are the 2020 recipients of Selfhelp's esteemed Fran Eisenstadt Legacy Award in recognition of the dedication to enhancing the quality of life of Holocaust survivors. It is my pleasure to introduce and thank this remarkable family who truly personify the meaning of giving.
I don't really know how I met Mindy and Michael. I think they've always been there, you know. Our kids were around the same age. There's a lot of pictures with Mindy and Michael, their kids, in our albums, and I would assume a lot of pictures of me and my family in their albums as well. I met and spent time with Mindy's father 20 plus years ago in philanthropy.
I met Irving and Helen Schneider about 50 years ago when he was a member of the Board of Trustees of Long Island Jewish Hospital. I immediately recognized that he was an unusual individual, somebody with a big heart and extremely charitable, and he transmitted that to his children, who is Mindy and Michael, and from them down to their children, Katie and Jake.
We were talking about activities for our foundation, our family foundation, and we sat down as a family discussing what areas we were interested in. Our daughter Katie is particularly fond of senior citizens, and while she was looking around the internet for different programs in the New York City area, she came across Selfhelp.
My parents and I attended a coffee house in Brooklyn, and we just loved the program, and we loved the survivors that were at the coffee house. We just got involved right after that.
Selfhelp was something that we all four of us immediately wanted to do. That was no question.
Well, these people who have suffered so much and endured so much for so many years, now that they're very aged, they should have some decent lifestyle in their last few years. They shouldn't have to worry about things like a medical appointment or food or a refrigerator and a place to socialize and be with other people. So we thought it was a very rewarding program and a rewarding thing for us to be involved with. You know, it gives back to us by seeing this, by help these people.
I think if you're going to help an elderly group of people, the Holocaust survivors are the group that deserves arguably the most help. They've gone through things that we can only imagine.
For them to be involved with Selfhelp, to be caring for sort of one side of the spectrum and the other, it's not surprising at all. And in fact, I think it's quite logical. And I think for them, it is about caring for people that need the help.
The Schneider Children's Hospital is a unique institution. It's one of a kind in the state of Israel, providing medical care to all the children of Israel, irrespective of race, ethnicity, or national background.
I chair the U.S. fundraising arm for that hospital called CHI. Mindy's on the board as treasurer. And we, before the pandemic would happen, we would go at least twice a year to visit the hospital. And we're very involved with its new building. They're building a brand new building for the hospital that will double the size of the facility. And we're very involved with that.
And it's amazing how they have carried on with the mission that Irving and Helen set 50 years ago. It's unusual for children to follow their parents and to do what their parents had in mind. And what's also amazing is they've passed this on to Katie and Jake, who are also interested in the same things.
I think my grandparents instilled in the family that giving back was more important than almost anything, and it's always been a part of our lives for as long as I can remember. After my family got involved with Self-Help, I joined the Next Gen board, which is a board made up of young volunteers to think about ways that a young person might approach self-help. I think it's important for my generation to get involved with organizations that speak to them, and I think it's not only important to get involved at a young age and find what you like, I think it's important for the organizations to hear from younger people, and I think it's a way for organizations to find people that are really passionate about the cause.
It's really easy to want to give more and to want to help as much as you can, both with time and with resources. From an early age, I learned that I was so lucky to have what I have, and helping others to feel more comfortable is just something that's always been important to us.
I think there's always people who will be in need. Right now, it's Holocaust survivors, and there are 35,000 still remaining in the metropolitan area. But there'll always be people, underserved populations in New York who need the help of Self-Help. Self-Help has terrific, dedicated, caring professionals.
I just want to thank everybody at Self-Help. Everybody in the community has been terrific, all the projects that we have been involved in. But to us, it's just doing what we know to do. I don't want to say that it's not special because each activity is special, but it is part of our daily life and our normal day-to-day activity, participate and to give back.
You know, I think we can all learn from Mindy and Michael that rare combination of humility, impact, caring, and quietly making a significant difference.
The honor that they're being given this evening is well deserved. It's based on 3 generations of commitment to others.
Our response during the pandemic was such an amazing thing to see because it came on all of a sudden. It was the weekend, and then the next day, the next week, we were in lockdown.
It was as if a light switch had been thrown, and immediately we realized and learned that seniors were the most vulnerable population in addition to those with underlying conditions.
This pandemic is like any other emergency, like Hurricane Sandy, like anything, they'd say stay home, but not if you're an essential worker. And in home care, we're all essential workers. We have to be out there, the nurse has to visit, the aide has to get there, because the patient most likely can't be alone. Patients' needs don't go away.
And they rose to the challenge. What's most incredible is the fact that we have a workforce of about 1,500 aides that continue to work during the pandemic. In particular, our home care staff who worked during the pandemic from day one without really wavering at all, which is absolutely incredible to me.
Without as much concern for their personal safety or the safety of their families, they want to keep going to see their patients. And that means a lot.
Many years ago, Self-Help created something called the Virtual Senior Center. It brings the activities of a senior center into the living rooms of people who are isolated. With the lockdown due to the pandemic, we were all socially isolated. And so Self-Help was able to expand its virtual senior center. We actually tripled the number, and it is still growing, of people who are receiving those services. They are engaged, highly interactive services run by a facilitator, and everybody can do it. Through the virtual senior center, we are reaching out to seniors and combating social isolation. It is a lifeline back to the community for those older adults.
So Nathan, who takes time at 17 years old to converse with somebody that's older, probably older than his grandmother? And he sits there with patience. He sits there with knowledge. He has a briefcase full of knowledge. I was his #1 fan. I think highly of him. And I appreciate every week that he was there with us. And I just think that he's just too much. He's just so nice and so sweet. And I can't say enough about him. You touched my heart with teaching and showing us, and you have a whole book full of knowledge on sports, not only just baseball. So I just thank you for being a part of Self-Help and being a part of each and every one of our lives, that you touched us.
When I heard about this, I had to do it. I was a little nervous at first, like, would baseball work? And I didn't know if I'd draw a crowd, but it worked, and I think a lot of people loved it. And I think also just seeing everyone be so happy, and people like Deborah showing up every week and seeing them come back and knowing that they loved it was really like touching to me. And I was working at my dad's office this summer. I would do the class and then work, and I remember the rest of the day I would be kind of have a smile on my face.
Your future is bright. Your future is just full of blessings because of the time that you spent with us. You can always say, and you can put it in your little box of remember me, I made seniors laugh. And that will carry you for the rest of your life, because I spent time with, as we say, old folks.
Good evening. I'm Victor Weiler, past president of Self-Help's Board of Directors. Over 20 years ago, I served on the search committee and offered Stuart Kaplan the position of CEO. Shortly after his arrival, I was elected president of Self-Help, and we worked very closely together for 12 years. For me, it was interesting, productive, and most enjoyable. Stuart has a mind of a businessman and the heart of a social worker. He has a broad vision and is committed to fulfill the promise of Self-Help's founders to serve as the last surviving relative to Holocaust survivors. Stuart is an outstanding leader and a very special human being. Please join me this evening in recognizing Stuart's 20 years of transformational leadership.
If I have to say one word about Stuart Kaplan, it would be supportive.
Approachable.
Authentic. Generous.
Gracious.
Assuring.
Kind.
Wonderful.
Great boss.
Leader.
Stuart is the most ethical man I know. I mean, if we get the emotion out of it and just talk about practicality and business and how he feels about doing what he does, I've never met anyone that was more ethical than him.
He's smart, he gets it, he's responsive, but he has a bigger vision of really, particularly for us, what's important for Holocaust survivors. And it's made really all the difference in the world.
Taking care of Holocaust survivors is at a level that we all understand or don't understand, but it is very deep, it's very sensitive, it's very sincere. Coming to Self-Help 20 years ago was interesting in and of itself. This is an organization that I didn't know about prior to my arrival at Self-Help. I was taken by the fact that it was an organization that was dedicated to taking care of people in the community, where people want to live, where people want to enjoy community, friends, family.
And he realized that part of his job at Self-Help was to grow the company.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is that I believe we've accomplished that. We've more than doubled, nearly tripled the number of survivors that we serve annually, despite the fact that the total number of survivors, of course, is dwindling. The scope of our services has broadened. The geographic area of the population that we are serving has broadened as well. So I'm very proud of that as one aspect of the work that goes on at Self-Help.
The Claims Conference and Self-Help have been partners since the 1960s. But over the last 20 years, particularly under Stuart's leadership, the relationship has flourished beyond what anyone could have imagined. It's clear that Stuart has a passion for Holocaust survivors, so I don't know where it comes from. Maybe it's in his DNA. There's just a commitment that's tremendous, that's amazing.
Who I am as a leader, who I am as a person, transcends to my professional life. And what I seek to fulfill personally and what I seek to fulfill professionally overlap to a large extent. When I read the mission of Self-Help, I wondered, how do I communicate that to our staff and to all of our constituencies? Independence and dignity were the two words that jumped out.
Committed. Trust.
Excellence.
Dynamic.
Diligent. Dedication.
Compassionate. Wonderful.
Stuart is a tremendous leader because he's able to find incredibly talented individuals, listen to what they need, and then provide those resources, all while supporting their efforts and staying involved in the projects. Stuart has done a tremendous job building his team and with pushing that team to give all of Self-Help's clients what they deserve.
I think he loves working with the staff here. I think he understands that no corporation is good unless the people that you have working for you is good.
The staff that Self-Help has, without question, is second to none. They are dedicated to the lives of survivors, helping them remain independent, live their lives with dignity.
I don't think it's lost on him that Self-Help is a superior organization because he's got 2,000 employees that also believe in the Self-Help mission.
Mentor.
Empowering.
Caring.
Thoughtful.
Kind.
Fair.
Compassionate.
Smart.
Authentic.
Visionary. Stewardship.
I know he's affected the growth of Self-Help, but he is so proud of Self-Help. He's proud to be at the helm of an organization that does what Self-Help does.
My wife, Rosemary, my biggest cheerleader. And I can't tell you how appreciative and grateful I am for the strength I get from my family members.
My girls love him because he's so honest, and I don't think there is a better role model for them.
Great leader.
Leader. Leadership.
Thoughtful. Superlative.
Excellent.
Going that extra degree, that extra bit to show that you are going to be there when really needed is most important to me. I see it in our board members. I see it in our executive team. I see it in the staff throughout the organization. And I am so grateful for that. Today, the population that Self-Help serves goes beyond Holocaust survivors through our affordable housing, our home care programs, our social service programs, and numerous other programs that promote independence and dignity and allow people to live in the community where they want to live their lives.
The majority of the positions and what we do in the different programs we have, the purpose is to assist the client to really live their best life.
So on the home care side, we provide skilled services to meet the needs of those that have acute episodes of care, meaning they had a fall, they needed some support, they need a nurse, they need a therapist to help them get back to some normal state. So it's more of a restorative type of a solution, short term. Then we also offer home health aides or aides that go into homes that provide people with support for the activities of daily living, bathing and cooking and shopping, personal hygiene. Our aides are involved in their lives on a daily basis.
Self-Help has a wonderful training program. We've been training aides since 1975. This is a great entry-level position for someone who thinks they want a career in healthcare.
On the other side of our business and what we do is providing social services. And that is a very, very important piece of what we do here at Self-Help, because what it does is it gets our clients connected to services that are in the community. Those are all things that have an impact on what we call the social determinants of health. And our social workers are critical in bringing those services to our clients on both sides of what we do to maintain independence and dignity in the community. Self-Help proudly serves 20,000 individuals, and we do it one person at a time.
I love Judy because she's with us 2 years now. She started with my husband, and she was very good to my husband. She's not just a helper, she's really, I feel, she's so good. She's like a relative for me.
She is absolutely amazing. She's been through a lot, and I've heard her, say how much it means to her to have gone through what she went through as a Holocaust survivor.
It's very hard because I'm the person who likes to go out every day, and now I mostly home. I don't go out, and it's, not easy, but Judy go out for a few things too for me. Sometimes we sit in the car when it's a nice sunny day and we just going around. My husband used to say, let's go to see the houses and trees. My family, like my grandson, love her like a second mother.
Self-Help is an amazing agency. They are kind. The nurses are wonderful. The staff is really wonderful. They answer and they solve whatever problems need to be solved. I've even learned how to cook some Hungarian dishes.
I teach her.
Hi, I'm Natasha Schnur, and I'm so proud to introduce my mom, Anna, the recipient of Self-Help's 2020 Lifeline of Hope Award. My grandparents left the former Soviet Union when my mom was 3. I cannot imagine how hard it was for them to pack up and leave their friends, family, and all that was familiar to them. My grandparents moved so that their children and grandchildren could have a better life here in America. When my mom learned about Self-Help and the special work they do with Holocaust survivors from the former Soviet Union, her heart was touched. She immediately brought our whole family to a Self-Help coffee house where we volunteered. Ever since I can remember, my mother has always liked to give back. Whether it is Holocaust survivors, children with special needs, or the homeless lady on our block, she is always eager to help. She has taught my brothers and I the importance of giving back. Please meet the person who inspires me the most, my mom, Anna Schnur.
Anna has a special touch about her. There's a connection with whomever she meets, but given her background, I think that her relationship with survivors is instant, and that's why she's a part of Self-Help.
I've always had an affection for the senior population. It's unfortunate they're easy to forget. People care about beautiful, small, little, cute children. People care about their friends. The senior population, if they have family that passes away, if their children move away, if they don't have children, they've been very lonely. It's a lonely existence, and I feel that they don't have the power to talk back, or they don't have the resources to really be heard. So I think it's important that Self-Help provides that for them.
Anna is one of the most kindest people I've met in my life, most compassionate, kindest people. I met Anna 17 years ago as a professional at the UJ Federation of New York. It was my first job as a professional nonprofit industry. And he was this gorgeous young woman who was on a board of Young Leadership Russian Division, who was one of the founders of that division. And 17 years later, not only we do things on a professional and philanthropy, but we became very, very close and good friends. So this speaks very loud and clear about who Anna is.
Anna immigrated when she was 3 from the Soviet Union with her family.
Growing up, my family had a business it was a hotel for senior citizens. I learned so much from them. They had so many stories to share.
I think it was a very natural calling of her soul's calling to become involved. And probably it was how she grew up in her family, in a very kind, giving family.
I think after that experience, to me, I mean, senior citizens always be close to my heart. As a child, I learned English easily, and my mother spoke English fluently, but my father never did. He always had a very heavy accent. He was always embarrassed of his accent. He didn't feel comfortable speaking English. And that always left me thinking, what about all the seniors that come later in life that really never learn English? It's very isolating. And every task becomes that much more daunting.
Anna being the first board member of Russian descent to join Selfhelp has been a huge help. And her involvement with Russian survivors is incredible. But primarily, I think I see her love and joy for the coffee houses. I know that her family has been a part of some of them, and her enthusiasm is really tangible when you see her with all the survivors and involved in all of these wonderful activities.
There's always live music, and there's dancing, and there's storytelling, and there's gossip. It's so heartwarming to see any joy, to see so much joy, but the fact that we can bring joy to this community. They are so grateful for, I think for so little, but they're so grateful. We're the ones that should be grateful.
Russian-speaking community, every time I spoke with them, every time I met with them, they love the quality of the services and the kind of a care that the Selfhelp and the level of care that Selfhelp provides from them.
I feel like everyone's indebted to Holocaust survivors. I mean, I think that we have to try to keep them alive as there are so few left, as we know, sadly, and it's our duty to keep them alive and happy and living as good a life as they possibly can for as long as they can. I feel it's the least that we can do is to listen to them, to help them, to, make sure that their stories are heard.
I'm very proud that my wife, Anna, is receiving this award from Selfhelp. I truly believe that she deserves this, as she has worked years and years giving back to those less fortunate.
I know her children since they were born, and they growing up to be this wonderful, beautiful, caring, giving people who care about Jewish values. They are learning about the history, and these children are growing up to be caring and giving individuals. So I'm very proud of her and Eugene for doing that.
It's hard to say why it's important, because I can't imagine why it's not important, for every possible reason to teach your children what's right and wrong, to teach them ethics, to teach them history in the sense that this is their duty to make sure that these people are taken care of. These people have as good a life as they can for whatever few years they have left. And then to also know that, to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Anna, your time, your energy, your commitment to Selfhelp is enviable. I'm proud of you personally, and just wanted to thank you. On behalf of the board, we all wanted to thank you for your time, relentless energy, and congratulations on this wonderful award.
I'm very proud of her, and she's an inspiration. And I think so proud that Selfhelp is recognizing her. It's a really deserved honor.
Selfhelp does so much for so many people in so many ways. I just wish that people knew more about it. But I know Selfhelp will keep up this great work that they do.
Selfhelp as an organization has a mission to provide independence and dignity to older adults. One of the areas that we recognize that is essential is affordable housing and services that support people living in their affordable housing. This goes back to the origins of Selfhelp. When Holocaust survivors first arrived, the first thing they needed was a place to live. Selfhelp helped survivors to find that first apartment or place to live. In the early 60s, Selfhelp built its first affordable housing buildings for Holocaust survivors. The buildings were located in Flushing, Queens, are still there today, and we are proud of exactly the way they look today, having been renovated and refurbished a number of times. Today, Selfhelp has 12 buildings and 3 buildings under development, with others on the table. Selfhelp's long history of serving older adults in affordable housing has expanded recently so that we are able to serve people who are formerly homeless. While we are proud of the growth and development of many of our buildings currently being built, there remains a tremendous need for affordable housing for seniors. Tens of thousands of older adults are on waiting lists trying to get into affordable housing. And in addition to putting a roof over one's head, those services, along with Selfhelp's special supportive services within the buildings, help people to stay out of nursing homes, stay out of hospitals, return home sooner to their homes if they are hospitalized. We refer to it as SHAZAM, Self-Help Active Services for Aging model. Self-Help has been a strong advocate for increased services and increased buildings for affordable housing for older adults.
Yeah, I can't do the things I used to do. I was much more active. I used to go out and go places more, but can't do that now. What can you do? You have to work through it. And that's the only thing I can think of right now to do is to work through it and have support. And Shauna definitely fits that bill. So she has played an instrumental part in my life during the COVID because she's kept me there. You can do it as a coach. When I come to her and I say, well, direction here or there, sometimes what she says is very valuable. And so far, everything that she's ever told me is very valuable.
For me, I think the hardest thing is trying to support your clients working from home. And I think a lot of it, I had to be a little bit more inventive.
She's very informative. Whenever I've been stuck with something, you know, building-wise, or I need to get through like the SCREE application.
Sheila was pretty much one of the first tenants that I helped with the SCREE application, which is basically freezing your rent for seniors. And I've kind of like helped her kind of just with basic questions.
She goes overboard. Now that I gotta say, she will go overboard, even if it's not for her to do.
I did have the opportunity to go to the building because we had like a goodie bag that we were giving out from Self-Help. I dropped a bag at everyone's door in the whole building, you know, just kind of like little goodies like hand sanitizer, soap, lotion, you know, and I threw a little other things in there just to let them know that we're thinking about them, you know, during this time. It's really like building the relationship with people who you've never met and hoping that that relationship will continue on when they do see me in person. That's really the gist.
People give to Self-Help for all kinds of reasons, oftentimes as a result of their personal experiences. Ilse Melamed was sent to England on a kinder transport in 1930s. She is one of those individuals who gives because she was herself homeless and has become a great supporter of our real estate projects. Ilse has made the biggest contribution that Self-Help has ever received in order to support the development of affordable housing. It will not only support affordable housing, but also support the services that are in that housing. Ilse has been a member of the board of directors for many, many years. She recently joined the foundation board and also the Self-Help Realty Group. Ilse is always cheerful and has a smile. And so let's take a closer look at Ilse herself.
It is a special pleasure to honor Ilse Melamed tonight. What a shame this has to be done in the virtual world. It would be eye-opening for each of you to meet this wonderful woman who has been so generous to Self-Help for so many years.
A bit about my childhood. I grew up in Vienna in a sort of middle-income family. My father had an interior decorating business, and it came as a big surprise to me that one day I was not welcome at the school I was attending as a 10-year-old child. Not only was I ejected by the teachers, but by the children and their parents. And then it wasn't too long before the Nazis marched into Vienna. And shortly after that, my father was picked up and sent to Dachau. And my mother was left with little income and 2 children. I had a younger sister. I got a place on the Kindertransport. And so in 1939, in July, I left. So the family was broken up.
My grandmother, Ilsa, survived the Holocaust. When she was 11 years old, she rode from Austria all the way north to the Netherlands and then into the UK. She was alone. She was without her parents and her younger sister.
Ilsa moved from place to place, never really having a home and longing for one.
She did not live with her family, and I think that has given her a wanting to give back, given that she's able to make this kind of a gift to us. She knows what it's like to be homeless, and that is one of the reasons that she has been so generous with her donation to our group.
My home is very important to me, and it's a sort of extension, if you like, of me, my personality. And, you know, it's more than a place to live.
I think my grandmother started getting involved with self-help, obviously because of her own background, but also because of her husband, Alex Melamed, and his mother, Omizina, was involved in helping older age home folks who survived the Holocaust. I always had to work things out by myself, but I certainly, you know, value self-help's supportive services in helping people to be independent and use the resources that exist.
With Ilsa's gift, we are creating the Ilsa Melamed Affordable Housing Institute. Ilsa's gift will allow us to robustly respond to the affordable housing shortage for seniors in our area by developing new projects, finding new land on which to build new housing. It will also allow us to provide amenities in those buildings for the residents to keep them active and happy.
I'm now in my 9th decade of life, and I thought it was time I cleaned house, so to speak, and Self-Help's housing was part of that. I was motivated to give this gift because I know very well what it's like not to have a home.
My grandmother's an exceptional woman. I think her legacy is going to be in multiple areas, a lot of it having to do with higher education, as well as giving time and energy to understanding her hardships and what she had to go through and helping those, especially later in life. She's just an amazing woman, and on top of that, a fantastic great-grandmother to my children.
On behalf of Self-Help, I would like to express our deepest appreciation to Ilsa for this terribly important gift that she has made to our affordable housing efforts.
Ilsa represents to me everything that Self-Help stands for from its day of origin. We are there to help people, and she has become a great motivator, a great donor, and a person who has boundless generosity.
It's a project that has what I call legs. You know, it doesn't come to an end. It doesn't get used up. It really is a sort of perpetual thing.
The Melamed Institute will stand as a tribute to the survivor population for whom this housing was originally developed.
She is a beautiful personality.
It's amazing to think
that it's been almost a year that we've been living in this new reality. And as someone who reports the news, and as we know, not all of it is good, I've learned to focus on the bright spots and on those things that bring us joy and hope. And tonight's heroes, each in their own way, have brought joy and hope into the lives of so many. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Please stay safe and be well. And if what you've heard tonight touches your heart, please know that you too can be a self-help hero. There are many ways to help, including making a donation to assist Holocaust survivors and thousands of other vulnerable New Yorkers during COVID. The need is great, and we so appreciate your support. Until next time, we leave you with a bit of inspiration.
We are living through very difficult and unprecedented times.
This pandemic has affected every aspect of our lives.
All around the world, people are struggling.
Life is tough. It's easy to sit back and only focus on ourselves.
But it's much more fulfilling to help someone else.
Just one person.
One act of kindness.
One gesture of support.
If you have the drive, the capability, and the capacity.
Just one act can impact dozens and even thousands of people.
Don't underestimate what ordinary people like you and me can do.
I am your friend.
Your neighbor.
Your colleague.
I am just the average person who made one small difference.
If each of us takes it upon ourselves to do one act of kindness.
If each one of us would step up to try to do one thing to make life a little bit better, a little bit easier.
A little more comfortable for someone.
The impact would be immeasurable.
You don't need to be a superhero. You just need to be yourself and do what you do best.
Be kind and patient, and do something to try to make someone smile.
You too can take action.
You too can be a self-help hero.
Become a self-help home health aide.
Provide a Holocaust survivor with financial assistance to meet their daily needs.
Become a facilitator on the Virtual Senior Center.
Become a telephone reassurance volunteer.
Support training and education for home health aides.
Help an isolated senior continue to live independently.
Provide compassionate care for a Holocaust survivor with no family.
Deliver food to a homebound senior.
Provide access to the Virtual Senior Center for low-income older adults.
Help seniors live independently in their home.
You too can step up and give of yourself.
Give of your time.
Open up your heart.
A little bit of kindness can make all the difference.
You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
You can make a difference.
If we could do it,
you could do it.
You too can be a self-help hero.